So, do you have analysis paralysis? Do you have this state sometimes where you're paralyzed to do anything because you're overthinking and trying to think of the perfect way forward or how to do it better or how to do it successfully? And what often happens if you have analysis paralysis, you hesitate, you procrastinate, and it fills you with doubt and more fear. Because the brain, when you hesitate, when you start to hesitate something, your brain says something's wrong. They are hesitating, and we have to figure this out. But then you have anxiety about having to delay it or that it's not okay. And then the problem is that you have anxiety about the anxiety, right? You have anxiety about the overthinking, you have overthinking about the overthinking. Now, in our culture right now, we have really increased how much overthinking we do. And that's because we have these societal standards, these unrealistic expectations that we feel like we have to live up to, or else we don't belong, or else we're inadequate, or else we're not good enough, or smart enough, or thin enough, or cool enough, or rich enough, or whatever it is. We feel inadequate because there's these societal expectations that we don't really understand. We don't understand where they are. We set them even higher. We want perfectionism because we think you could only be successful if you're perfect, which is not true, right? Perfection just stops you. It just blocks you from getting anywhere, doing anything, having any joy, having any fun. Perfectionism and the rigidity that anxiety brings. Perfectionism is an anxiety, right? You have to be perfect or else something bad will happen, or else you won't be accepted, or else you'll be kicked out. And so this analysis paralysis is increasing in our culture. So you see younger generations having more analysis paralysis, and we're saying they're unmotivated, or we're saying they procrastinate, or they have executive skills disorder or something, right? We're trying to figure this out. Why are so many young people stalled sometimes? Not all the time. That's important to notice. Some kids are not stalled at all. Some kids are stalled sometimes and not other times. What makes the difference? Many things make the difference, but mostly if it's something familiar, if it's a task that's familiar, if it's something that you've done a lot, if you've done hard things in your life, if you use your skills a lot, so get to know yourself as someone who has skills, that builds your confidence up, and that would push through any analysis paralysis or any overthinking before attempting something or attempting to work on a goal. If you see yourself as somebody who has skills, it's easier to do stuff. If you see yourself as somebody who can't, which anxiety and depression and other mental health problems that are encultured in us because of these high societal expectations, we get stalled. Right? This is not your fault. Isn't this great? It's great that it's not your fault. It's great that there's nothing wrong with you. I'm sorry, I hit my microphone. There's nothing wrong with you. It's great that you are much more amazing than you might see yourself right now. I know it. A lot of people in your life see it in you, see your potential. You have that potential. It doesn't go away when you have analysis paralysis. It feels like you have no potential, but that's just your overthinking psyching you out, getting in your way. And it increases the self-doubt. So analysis paralysis is being stuck or stalled to move forward on a goal, on a project, on a task, on anything in life, on making decisions because you're overthinking and you don't want to get it wrong. And it's easier just to, it's so overwhelming sometimes that overthinking for a lot of people, it gets to anxiety levels and it's disturbing. It's uncomfortable. It's more than uncomfortable, it's upsetting because it's like, I'm a failure and you just can't go there, right? So sometimes then you just have to distract yourself either with games or with other vices or hopefully something not as bad for you or sleeping a lot. And then people get stalled in their life. We see a lot of young people getting stalled in their life. And that's because, watch my TEDx talk. I talk about how chores The lack of chores that we have in this modern culture, all of us have less chores than we had, 100 years ago, 50 years ago, even. We have a lot less chores than we used to survive. But our brain developed for 2 million years to problem solve, to figure out how to survive, to get food for ourselves every day, to function in this world with a lot of things happening, a lot of problems happening. Now, our world still has problems, but they're not like in our face, so we could take some action and do it and then get to know ourselves as someone who figures things out. The problems that we have today are far away. They're things that maybe don't even involve us. We feel absolutely helpless to those. And so we feel more and more out of control and we feel really stalled. And maybe we try to control little things to try to get that control back. And sometimes it's pseudo control. Sometimes you get it right and you think, I'm going to set a goal, I'm going to work really hard at this goal. And it helps your mental health, it helps your mindset to do that because our brain wants to do that. Our brain wants to have goals, our brain wants to be challenged, it wants to problem solve. And if you don't have a lot of things to problem solve or do, then it's going to find problems, even make up problems. That's what most of our anxiety is. They're not necessarily truths. There might be what ifs. And so it's like it convinces you that it could be true. So you better watch out. But it's not true in the moment, right? Anxiety is the leftover fear response when you're not in physical danger. If you had a fear response and you were in physical danger, you would have to take action to survive because your biological process will override everything and you'll just try to save yourself. And hopefully you do. That happens like 2% of the time. We need to do anything when our fear response goes out. Most of the time, it goes off in case we needed it, and we usually don't need it. It might be an emotional trigger. Now, think about a long time ago, like millions of years ago. We were in lesser forms, maybe, lesser evolutionary forms, and we if somebody looked at us funny, that could mean danger. So we are still being triggered by that stuff when we're confused or when something seems off, or someone's mad at us. We still are triggered by that because in the past, in our brain somewhere, innate parts of our brain, in that reptilian or even earlier brain, that was dangerous. You're not crazy. You're not like an emotional basket case. It feels like you are. You're suffering. I'm not saying you're fine. You're suffering, but you are so much more than you think you are. You're so much more skilled. You're so much more able. You're so much more adaptable. You're so much more caring and loving. All of this overthinking gets in our way of connection, of seeing our own value, of knowing ourselves and knowing our place in the world or finding our purpose. So, unfortunately, this analysis paralysis is like a snowball effect. It gets worse because the more you're stalled on something that you care about, like it wouldn't happen if you didn't care about something, right? If you didn't care about something, you wouldn't be paralyzed about it because you just wouldn't care about it. You either wouldn't do it and not care, or you would just do it because it's like easy. Or if it was really familiar, you might not get stalled. You wouldn't hesitate. It's like I sweep the floor every night. And so every night I'm not like, to sweep the floor again. It's like a 2-minute job. And if it's integrated, so it's integrated and it's something I just do really quick instead of lamenting about it. If we lament about it or get frustrated about it, the job's harder, especially those little jobs. But if you never sweep the floor and then you have to sweep the floor, your brain will find every excuse to not do it because it's like, do I need that to survive? No. Right? Our brain is always making a choice with everything that it's approaching. Do I need this to survive or thrive? Do I want to expend any calories to do it? And quite often the brain is like, no, if it's not immediately going to help me survive or thrive, that means it's not fun. And it's not, going to survive. If it's like murky, like sweeping the floor, it's tedious, it's doable, It doesn't take a lot of calories. We do have access, most of us, not everybody, of course, has access to food, but we have more access to food than our earlier ancestors. And so we don't need to conserve the calories. It's okay to sweep the floor, and then you don't get ants and little bugs in your house if you sweep the floor. So it is for surviving and thriving. It's just not immediate. Our brain is like, don't need to do this right now. It'll resist. It'll resist. That's a biological response to resist. It's trying to protect you from doing something that might hurt you. But we know sweeping the floor is not going to hurt us. Taking 2 minutes to sweep the floor is not going to hurt us. I know it's a dumb example, but so analysis paralysis usually is about bigger stuff, but it's easier to think about with these little things. It's like, I don't feel like it. But we don't overthink that too much. We're like, I don't feel like it. And you just like put it off. Or do you ever say, I have to get up, brush my teeth, before bed, and you're kind of sitting, watching something, scrolling or something like that. And you're like, I have to brush my teeth so I can get in bed, and you just scroll, keep scrolling, right? So it's like you want to, you just don't, you're just trying to like get yourself up and out of doing that. That's a little bit more of avoidance. You're not overthinking, like, oh, I have to do this, and what if I don't do it? Okay, with something like that. But analysis paralysis is usually around something that is important, or you're accountable to somebody else for, and you don't want to disappoint them. And it's really important to you not to disappoint them. This is what's so interesting. The same thing that's like no, excuse me, blah 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 blah. If you are valuing something a lot, if you value, you want this to happen, you want to do this for somebody, they'd be so happy if you did this for them, or do this for you, it'd be so great for your future if you did this step, and you want to do something really bad, that could either help you override the analysis paralysis, or it might actually make the analysis paralysis worse, because if you care about something so much, the pressure is bigger. Now, all of analysis paralysis is overridable. You just have to know that you can. Most people who suffer from analysis paralysis a lot in their life, some people have it just for a few different things and most things they could do. And some people have analysis paralysis on a lot of things in their life, and they're quite stalled. So if you are somebody who has, or somebody you love has analysis paralysis, there is a way forward. There is a lot of hope. There's a lot of ability to change the way you approach tasks and decision making and problem solving and goal setting. And one of the most important things to know is that you can override it. Right? It seems like the truth about who we are, and we take negative identity conclusions on ourselves, like something wrong with me, I can't do stuff, I'm not motivated. Really, you're motivated. You're totally motivated. You're just really highly motivated to resist failing something. And so you resist doing it. You see, it's not a motivation problem. People are highly motivated to resist something or to not start, because then they might not fail. But what happens is they fail anyway, or that never doesn't get done. Sometimes you have another chance. Sometimes you don't pass up these things, right? We don't want to pass up these things that are, life is short. There's so much happening. Not all of it is great. It's overwhelming sometimes, and sometimes you miss a lot of opportunities or don't get things that you want. Don't miss out on stuff that you could get if you didn't have analysis paralysis. So let's go over eight different things that you could try to do to override it, but knowing that you can override it. Think about this. That's your reptilian brain trying to protect you, trying to say, I don't know. Can I do this? I don't know. I don't feel like it. And then distracting yourself completely and not thinking about it. So it is overthinking that stops you, but it's also, you could just avoid it completely because overthinking is so uncomfortable. So sometimes people aren't thinking about it at all. So you're like, is that analysis paralysis? Because you're not even thinking about it. They can't think about it. It's too overwhelming. The guilt is overwhelming for them. So here are 8 ways. So knowing that you could, sorry, going back and forth here, knowing that you could override it is the most important because it feels like the truth. It feels like just the truth about who we are and inherent in us. But we have this mammalian brain that could say, no, I do want to do that. Who cares? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be perfect. You could do more than you could think you could do. You could be more than you think you are. You are more than you think you are. You could do more than you think you could do. And it's just really amazing. I'm just wondering, I just realized I wasn't looking at the chat. If you happen to be here and I missed your chat, then you could leave another comment. When I'm on live on Mondays at 8 p.m., I'll read your comment and I could answer it if you have any questions. So again, I just want to emphasize that. I know I'm going pretty long tonight. Oh, it's only 16 minutes in. How are you all anyway? You like this topic? It's near and dear to my heart. Near and dear to my heart. I'm like everybody else who grew up in this culture. We are a culture of overthinkers because of those high expectations. It's just how our society kind of is enculturating us. We're growing up with this belief that we have to achieve these expectations or we'll be like kicked out or not included or no one will like us or people won't accept us. We grow up thinking that, and then if we don't meet them, we're constantly feeling inadequate. That's why Westerners are constantly feeling their own inadequacy. And because of that, we overthink everything because we're trying to analyze and seeing if like where are we and judge ourselves and try to assess if we're doing okay or not and if we could do better and who's doing it better than us and comparing ourselves to everybody. We're constantly doing all that. So all of my job as a therapist is constantly helping people settle down that overthinking, not listen to it anymore. You could change the channel in your mind. Those are voices, you get familiar with them. You might have similar thoughts that come over and over again. And you can override them and say, because usually when we have a thought and it's like disturbing or upsetting or familiar, we pull it into our consciousness. We're like, oh no, again, I'm thinking that again. I always think means something. We put more meaning around it. That's attaching to it. But we have all kinds of thoughts in our head all the time. And we could just let them, we could be like, oh, that's an interesting one. You know that one, the call of the void? Do you ever hear of the call of the void? Like if you're waiting at a subway station and you think about jumping in, or you're on a cliff or something, you think about falling off. It's a regular, normal human reaction. It's a regular thing that humans think. There's even a name for it. It's called the call of the void. And sometimes when people think that, especially if they have had depression in the past, they think that only weird people and only damaged people or only depressed people think that. They don't know that everybody thinks that. So they're like, something is wrong with me if I think this. This is horrible. Um, and it's devastating. Everybody thinks that. And it's not something to blow off. We just have to help them understand. But we grab it. So then you think it again. You're like, I thought it again. It's like twice in a week. And it really means something, right? Our overthinking is out of control. And in getting a handle on and understanding our thoughts and stopping to attach to them and stopping to put meaning around them is how we're going to get through all this. So that we prioritize connection instead of prioritizing settling, or excuse me, we prioritize settling our anxiety, right? That's our priority because it's so uncomfortable. It's so upsetting. Um, a lot of times if you have anxiety, it feels like it controls you. If you have analysis paralysis, man, it gets in your way of everything that you want. Hopefully not everything. Hopefully there's some things that you're just like, no, this is too important. I'm going to do it. So that's one of the things here is that if you know your why, don't let the why be more pressure. Let the why be a reason to say, I don't care if I'm not perfect. This person is important, or this thing is important, or this purpose is important. It's so much easier sometimes to have that be another person because it's easier to do something for somebody else than it is to do something for yourself. But okay, so one out of 8 here is one is set clear goals. So set some clear goals for yourself so you know what you're trying to do. And then set some sub goals. What are the steps in each of those goals? Write them down so that you could cross them out so that you could see that you did them. You want to start to to know yourself as someone with skills. Because if you have anxiety, if you have analysis paralysis, you probably think about yourself as someone who doesn't have any skills, who can't. Because so far, in some things in life, you have not been able to override the analysis paralysis. You have not been able to override the negative thinking or the overthinking. And so you have been stalled in some situations that you wish you weren't stalled. And gradually, you might be pushing through in this arena and that arena and this arena and that arena. You might be pushing through, but then there's still some times where analysis paralysis stops you. Listen, think about how you push through those other things and use it. Okay, I'm tangenting again. So I was doing one, set really clear goals and then sub goals. Okay, number 2, limit your options. When you have too many options, it's overwhelming. And I think sometimes I'm a person that think I'm a brainstormer. I am a master brainstormer, and I think it is a really good skill to have if you want to problem solve. And if you want to figure out what to do and find new options, like limitless options, I'm great. I'm your person. So if you want someone to do that with you, come work with me. I'm the best at that. But sometimes there's too many options. So sometimes I work with somebody, and if they have analysis paralysis and I give them tons of options, sometimes I get feedback like, that's too much for me. And I'm like, oh, whoops. I could backpedal, so that's fine. I don't do that too often. Don't get worried about that. If you're like, I want to work with her, I need her help. Don't worry. I don't make that mistake very often, but I'm always checking in to making sure that what we're talking about is what the person wants to talk about. All right. So limit your options. Try to come up with a couple options, make a decision, and let the things that you didn't choose go. The word decision comes from the root to kill. When you make a decision on one thing, you just make that your right decision. Some people are so paralyzed to make a decision because they're like, I don't know which one is right. You pick something. If you don't know, if you both of them sound good and it could go either way, think about it this way. Whatever decision you make that the right one. Like you have part of that. You don't have to worry about letting go of the right decision and you pick the wrong one. Because first of all, there's usually another chance. Don't worry. Most of the time, there's another chance, and it might be in a different form, but there's another chance because life's not over yet. And also, if you make a decision, you could make that your right decision, and you just let the other one go and focus all instead of having remorse that you should have done this, that you should, hey, I have to listen to myself here. I'm giving this advice, and like right now, tonight, this is advice that I need. It's so funny when you're making a decision, you just let that one go and you just let that go and put all of your energy in to making this okay. If you're so caught up in what you lost and what you regret about not choosing that one, you'll definitely sabotage this one. Definitely. Okay. Number 3 is establish deadlines. So it's like having a SMART goal. If you have a SMART goal, you have a time frame. You need to know when the thing is done because when you don't have a timeline and when you don't have a deadline, it's hard to do stuff. It's easy to procrastinate. All of us work a little bit better. Our brains work a little bit better with that kind of structure. So give yourself a deadline, a hard deadline, and that'll help you get something done. Okay, next is break down the problem. I said that with the other one when I said, be clear about your goals and then your sub goals. Have sub goals. So break down each problem to littler steps and celebrate after every little tiny step because they're amazing. You are so much more than you think you are. And so the little steps are celebratable. So many people do little things and instead of celebrating how great it is that they did it, they're like, anyone could do that. And they're like, I should be able to do that. That's not going to help you. That's not going to help you get energy for the next thing. It just makes you feel down on yourself and bad, and it zaps your energy actually, and then you want to sit on the couch and scroll again. So, break down the problem, celebrate each of the little steps of all the problems. Okay. Number 6 is prioritize the criteria. So think about what it is that you value. So when you're making a decision, when you're solving a problem, think about the situation. What is it I value the most? And what an easy way to do that, as I always teach, is when you zoom out. When you zoom out from any situation, when you're trying to figure something out or trying to understand something better or trying to solve a problem or make a decision, zoom out. I keep hitting my mic. And look at the situation from a big picture view. And when you look at the situation from a big picture view, number one, your nervous system settles down because you get some distance from the problem. You're away from the chaos of the problem and the decision, and you get a big picture view. So you get to understand all of the players and what they're thinking about and what's going on for them. You get to look at yourself and think about what's going on for you. And so you get a really better understanding of everything, the big picture of it all. And you could see from that view, what are the most important pieces to you? What is it that you value? What's important? And that's going to really help you move forward, because that's a much better thing to focus on than what if I fail? And who's going to know? And what are they going to think about me? And everyone's going to see me fail. What you value is a much better thing to focus on. It helps you move forward instead of being stuck like the analysis paralysis. Okay. Get help. So number 6 is get help. You don't have to do this alone. Get help, get an accountability partner, get someone to discuss and brainstorm, like someone like me who could brainstorm what the goals are, what the sub goals are, what it is you value, somebody who could reflect back what you're good at. Right. So a family member, or a bestie, or somebody who could be like, you're really good at that. And you're like, "Oh, yeah, I didn't even think of how good I was at that," like, because you're thinking about all your deficits. You forget about your good stuff. You need your buddy to tell you how good you are at some stuff, right? You're better and more than you think you are. You need somebody else to remind you sometimes. Okay. All right. So, number 7, this is a biggie: embrace imperfection. Don't try to be perfect. Perfect will stall you. Perfect stalls. Perfect stalls. It's so rigid. There's no flexibility in it. Um, I do have an older client recently, a new client, and she has been had anxiety for a really, really long time. This is very structured because of her age and how long she's had anxiety. It's very structured. So trying to break down, because we construct those beliefs over time through experiences and the meaning we make around those experiences about our own vulnerability. And so it's been sometimes if people have been anxious or perfectionist for a really, really long time, it's highly structured and it's really hard. We have to deconstruct and break down the walls of it and break down the beliefs that hold it so strong in a person so that they can finally let it go. So if you're having any trouble with that, hit me up. I could help you release that perfectionism, because thank goodness I'm not a perfectionist. I couldn't do what I do. I couldn't do everything online that I do is so imperfect. Um, and then I'm like, that doesn't look good. I got to fix it. Um, that doesn't work. I got to do something else, right? Everything is a workaround. It's a good thing I'm a social worker, because social workers are like workaround people. You go one way and we can't find a through way, and we try to go around to find a way in, right? So that's really helped me also with like streaming on YouTube, because tech problems are for real. I spent like hours today on tech problems. And if I wanted to be perfect, I would have threw my hands up. I can't even believe this is working actually tonight. I'm really actually surprised. I just got off with chat like a half hour before I started, and I was like, they're like, it'll probably work. I had to do a workaround because something's wrong with it. Anyway, okay, so let me wrap this up because I'm going on and on and on. So the last one is start. Start before you're ready. You don't need to have confidence and then start something. You want to start before you're ready. Because when you start taking action, that's when the anxiety is going to go down because you have something to channel that energy into. So your anxiety is going to go down. So that's going to be so important in building your confidence up. We think we have to be ready before we start something. Again, I would not be here if I was ready because I'm never ready. And I just go and be real. And I think that I hope that the people who watch me feel that I'm more approachable that way, or that I understand them when I'm just real and you get me mistakes and all. Like, I've gone live with like broccoli in my teeth before and didn't realize it to the end, or my eyebrow all messed up, or I mean, that's just like appearance wise. Never mind all the other glitches that go on when you're trying to do these videos, and it's like whatever. I have information that helps people, and people tell me that I heal their hearts and their minds, and so I'm going to keep doing it. So thanks for watching me live tonight. I so appreciate you. There's several of you on live, and I don't get to see who you are. I just get to see a number. So I'm happy to see you tonight. I'm happy that you're spending this time with me, and I will let you go before I keep you too long. But I got lots of videos, so if you want to try something, maybe you want to watch. Which side is it on? I think it's this side. Watch this one next. Okay, I'm going to try my media. I'm going to try my outro too. Sorry. All right, here we go.